Welcome to episode 1 of the official NerdTalk Podcast, GeekSpeak. I'm your host, Sean Williams. And joined as always is my lovely and rambunctious co-host, Josh Rudy Rudolph. This is the podcast where we watch movies, make movies, play games, and more. What else can you ask for? Every week we'll be going through a different Disney Channel original movie, and we will see how in a short period of time, the biggest media company on Earth caters towards solely children and with a large sample size. We will see quality changes, etc., and we're going to go through different comic book movie stuff, different geeky stuff, different nerdy stuff. I know Marvel isn't so nerdy anymore because it's very mainstream, but it'll also be fun to see how Marvel, DC, like Transformers, Ninja Turtles, like anything that Star Wars that falls in the geeky, nerdy umbrella that people also want to see us do, we will discuss, have fun with, talk about news, fun stories, etc. So, how are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing super swell. I am the, what do you call me, rambunctious Rudy Rudolph?
It's lovely and rambunctious
DJ name.
What?
That's a perfect DJ name right there.
The lovely and rambunctious co-host, Josh Rudy Rudolph. Because he lost the Josh fight, so clearly he's a Rudy.
Yeah, I am only Rudy now.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, so like I said before, we're going through every Disney Channel original movie. That started kind of as a joke we said a while ago, like, what if we watch all of these and put them on the podcast we're planning on doing? And now it's happening. So
I regret making this suggestion to you 2 years ago.
But like, why not at this point? It will be very fascinating to see, I think. There isn't as much good or bad in this podcast. I'm already so good at words. It's great for this. This is only audio. Oh yeah. So this podcast, we're not going to talk about good or bad. We're not going to say this film was good, this film was bad. More of our own general enjoyment, or does this cater toward us as a demographic? Because films are not objective; they're subjective. Quality is all to what you want. We watched today You Lucky Dog, which it's no Paddington 2.
Okay, first off, right there, you haven't seen Paddington 2, so you do not get to criticize the highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm not. I'm going to say this movie right here is no Citizen Kane, but I couldn't say that, so I said it's no Paddington 2 as a fun joke because Paddington 2 has beat out Citizen Kane as the best movie ever. I don't think You Lucky Dog. First off, yay or nay, Josh? This movie.
I'm going to give it a yay because I've never seen an actor work more for an Oscar without realizing they're never going to get an Oscar for a TV movie as Kirk Cameron does here with You Lucky Dog.
I'm also going to give it a yay. I was surprised. It's a DCOM. If you don't know what DCOM means, it's Disney Channel original movie. We'll be using DCOM from here on out because it's shorthand and it's way faster. Now, we are two people who don't generally seek out DCOMs. I would say that with fair frequency, I don't generally enjoy them. They're not my cup of tea. That doesn't mean they're not bad or not good. That does not mean that they're bad or good. It means they're not really for me usually. And I think that's the same thing that goes for you, Rudy.
Yeah, I really honestly can't remember the last time like I was excited to see a DCOM. It might have been like when I was like 10 and the Sweet Life on Deck movie, or the Phineas and Ferb movie, whenever that came out. It was one of those two, and that was like the last time that I remember being genuinely excited for one. Every time I see an ad for one, I'm just like, oh, so they're still doing these. That's nice.
Yeah, so we're not really that into these, which is kind of the fun of this, is we're watching this from someone who's not into DCOMs or super, super into Disney as a company or anything like that. So we're watching these more with an eye of analytically? No, I'm not wording good today. More than I of just analysis and seeing how these films over time, in a short span of time, with a huge sample size, because it's been a lot, have changed. This is the second one ever. We couldn't find the first one on Disney Plus, so we'll go back to it, but not today. I think it was you wrapped something. What was the first one called?
It was something about kids finding like a mummy and they have to get the mummy back to its sarcophagus so it could be with its like female mummy love interest. Yeah. I don't know, but I would love to watch it.
We'll get to it eventually. We'll go back and watch ones we missed or anything like that. But there's a lot of these, so we'll get through them when we can. Sometimes it'll be 1 a week, sometimes it'll be 2 a week, etc. We'll see how it goes. So this movie, I didn't go into it knowing anything, and boy was I surprised. I have a lot of notes. First off, the exposition at the beginning with the articles in the open credits was really good. Like, I was surprised they actually did something like that. But then they ruined it right away. With right after it, when he's having what's the boy? Dogman. When Dogman is having his first.
That's all he will be called from now on. He's no longer Kirk Cameron. He is Dogman.
My entire notes, I refer to him as Dogman.
All right, wonderful.
And lawyer chick. I don't know their names. I think she's Allison. I think. But anyway, if you don't watch You Lucky Dog, there'll be time codes on the YouTube version of this podcast to where to find which section you want to listen to. Honestly, this isn't really a spoilery kind of movie.
No.
But if you want to get spoiled, if you don't want to get spoiled for this movie, you can skip ahead a little bit. I don't know how long. We'll figure it out later. Look, this is our first podcast. We're doing great. Anyway, they ruined that exposition moment right away with he then just says out loud to himself, I don't have powers anymore. Like, you could show that.
I didn't go into this knowing anything. I just thought it would be like a fun movie about like, oh, someone finds a dog or something like that. No, apparently he not only talks to dogs, but he becomes the dog, essentially.
Dogs.
There's like no explanation as to how this happens. It just happens, and we are supposed to accept it.
Actually, when the dog gets over emotional, it's when it happens, Josh. Come on.
No. I know that's when it happens, but like how it happens to him, like why? It's never explained. There wasn't like any kind of like passing meteor that rained down radiation only on him or a failed scientific experiment. No, it just happens, and I gotta give them credit for that kind of writing, because like I don't know how to feel about that.
I love that they didn't hold your hand at all with that part of it. At least they didn't need to explain, because that wasn't really the point. It would just detract more from the story they had. This doesn't feel like a DCOM. Let me explain. It doesn't feel like a movie. Like, quality wise, it fluctuates on a lot, like different scene to scene. Scene to scene, the cinematography fluctuates a lot to me. But like in the house, it's pretty good. But
go ahead.
I want to say that it doesn't. It feels like you said before to me earlier. It feels like it should have gone to theaters, and it does. It's not a Disney Channel movie. It feels like a Disney movie, like a bad one. Well, bad in terms of their Disney scale. It's not bad as a movie. It's just it's in their Disney scale. It's not like Frozen.
It's kind of like in the early 90s when they were releasing like those like bad live action comedies like That Darn Cat and Blank Check. It feels like it was meant to come to theaters because you have Kirk Cameron, who at the time was pretty famous just because of like the sitcoms and other movies that he had done. And you also have James Avery from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who's also in this. And for it to be a Disney Channel movie to have that kind of cast is a bit surprising to me.
Yeah, I will say that speaking of the lead guy, I wrote that lead looks like Disney's version of Dennis from Always Sunny.
Yes! Yes, he does!
The entire time, I was thinking, you look familiar, and I realized, you look like Dennis. Glenn Howard, I think his name or something like that?
Yeah,
he looks like, it's the Disney version of him. And that was just funny to me.
I would kill to see Glenn Howerton play this role, but as like in Always Sunny episodes, just full-blown R-rated, the same kind of style of humor as that. It would be chaos, and I would love it.
Also, like 10 minutes in the movie, I genuinely thought this would be better than I expected. Like pretty fast.
Because... Yeah, like some of the jokes like actually like weren't that bad. Like the deliveries like were done well. It was, again, the jokes weren't like amazing, but like they worked, and I was honestly surprised by that because DCOM humor, it's not always the best.
No, we're not hanging DCOMs as a whole. I know a lot of people out there, probably a lot of listeners, love them. Like they have their charm, they're fun, and they're silly, and they know what they are. This movie knows what it is, and it has fun with that. The Three Stooges, the evil characters. the dumb one, Taylor Nagon, he was in like a bunch of stuff for Disney, like a bunch of random episodes of things, like That's So Raven and Wizard Wayway Place and stuff like that. So that was pretty fun. Also, Cosmo's mom, was the maid from Fairly Odd Parents. That was fun.
I knew I recognized her voice.
She's also in How I Met Your Mother as Mrs. Buckminster. Fun fact.
Yeah.
He says that it tastes like shoe leather, and I love that he knew what that tasted like. Before we saw him transform into a dog, that just sounded really weird.
I would love to see a prequel to this movie where we see him as a kid going insane because he is feeling and hearing and knowing everything what his dog is doing. That would be a great psychological thriller, and I would love it. In the bathtub scene, why was he acting like Tom Hanks Hank
from
Tom? Hank Toms. We all know the Hank Toms.
Like Tom Hanks in Big. He was acting like a child.
I guess because Big came out like a few years before this, and so they were like, "Hey, we'll do that." Doesn't really make
It
sense.
was very
They're
weird.
gonna do it.
He wasn't he was not an adult in any scene in this movie.
No,
He was either a dog or a kid, which was just weird. Other things I wrote down: why is there a vibrating bed?
I think that was a common thing in like the 80s and 90s in motels.
Was it actually?
Yeah, because I remember watching the first National Lampoon Vacation movie, and they had a vibrating bed that like broke, so they had to sleep on the floor. So I think it was a common thing. This is definitely showing our age right now.
Yeah, we're 21. Anyway, I also wrote down the lawyer's daughter has the same name as the girlfriend, and that's weird. Also, I bet lawyer chick and Dogman will fall in love because plot. That didn't happen, but I still think they should have.
Yeah, like it seemed like they were gonna build up to it, but then they were just like, you know what? I don't think any woman would want to get with a guy that can be his dog. Like that creates a lot of different complications.
The court scene ruined that for it. So she thought he was legit crazy.
Yeah.
I also want to say that about the fun fact on IMDb, they have 2 trivia facts on this movie.
Wow, a whole whopping 2.
One of which is it says this is the second DCOM. The other one is the lawyer chick and Dogman are married in real life.
Good for them.
Or war. I don't know if they still are or not, but that was cool. Congrats.
Let me take a quick look.
Why is he allowed in the mall? Weird thing.
Yeah, like I guess like if it was like a seeing eye dog or something like that, that makes perfect sense. But he's not. He's just a dog with a lot of money. So I guess they're like, oh, that's a high society dog right there. We must let him into our store.
They don't know that. Like the first guy who comes up to him is like, "Hey, who is this dog? You can't be here." And he's like, "We're rich. So I can buy all the furniture." Ha ha ha. And
yeah, like the dog is on the furniture. The guy's like, "Dude, get your dog off of the furniture." And he's like, "No, we're gonna buy this couch, that couch, that couch. How much is it? That one couch is $5,000." And at first he's shocked by it, but then he remembers, "Oh, I have millions of dollars. This is nothing to me."
Well, what's funny is, at what point did you run out of money? Because like he definitely spent well over $1 million.
Most definitely.
He had $64 million in the beginning. I don't know how much he had by the end.
Because
he's still making wealth.
I don't know. Like it's never explained what the rich guy who died, like what his fortune came from. It's
this movie does not explain a lot.
Money.
Yeah, this movie does not explain a lot.
And it doesn't really need to. It gets the basics of what it needs to down, so that way kids and everyone else can understand. It's not going for complexity.
Also,
here.
if you ever watch the movie again, in the mall scenes, watch all the extras instead, because their reactions are priceless and made the whole movie worth it.
I didn't watch the reactions.
There's just a guy who looks dumbfounded in the food court, and it made my day. They also cut to a guy in the food court who looks really dumb at them. Not like he looks ugly or like dumb. I mean, like he has a dumb face on, looking like, huh?
Yeah.
Also, what was his dog voice like? It's like he's trying to be Shaggy but raspier and deeper, and it's not a good impression. It's really weird.
Dogman was giving a performance that I wasn't expecting in the slightest, but I am so happy I got to witness.
I think Dogman is our official mascot of the podcast now.
Oh, God.
Also, why did Allison say she'll help Dogman? Like, bruh, she's not his lawyer at first, like, before they went to court case. Like, I'll help you whatever I can. Like, he's not hiring you yet.
Because he has millions of dollars, and if they don't win the case, then that's a lot of money that she could lose out on.
That's true, but, like, I would say, hey, you should hire me, I'll help you. Like, something like that, instead of just being like, I'll help you. Because what if he never offers to pay? What if he never actually helps her or something? Negotiate up first, come on. Also, I wrote, why am I kind of invested in this case? Like, I actually want to know what's going to happen.
I think I was invested in it because every actor took it as seriously as possible. And like with like DCOMs and like other like movies like these that are made on like a very short like time crunch, like the actors don't always give like 110%. No. They gave 110% here. Like the court case, they treated it like it was a real court case, and I loved it.
Yeah, I also want to say that I was curious because I knew it was going to end well for him, but I had no idea how. Because it was ridiculous and he looked crazy.
Oh yeah,
the turning around thing with the pen was clever. Like it was still weird, but the fact that the dog thinks in like words like "what's up" or like "why,"
Yeah, at least they weren't trying to make him like a cool kid, Kewl, in the 90s, just like saying like slang and hip and cool words and whatnot. They were just like, no, he just talks normal with sometimes an occasional "what's up."
Also, it's obvious that they from the beginning that they're the guys who killed. I mean, the three trio of idiots are the ones who killed the old guy from the beginning.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it was obvious, but, like, it was still fun to see it. I didn't realize it. I thought it was obvious when they said the throwaway line, like, I've done it before. Like, okay, cool. Now we know. 'Cause he said
my
early
favorite
on.
thing.
Go on.
Gone.
Oh, he said early on, the leader of the three idiots said, like, trust me, I can kill this dog. I can do it again. Also, he threatened killing a dog multiple times,
Yeah,
which took them from annoying villains to, your mustache twirling comical characters who will not win.
yeah.
The second you mention killing a dog, you know you're gonna lose.
My favorite thing throughout the movie was whenever the dog would get mad, and then Dogman would himself get mad like the dog. Like people would like be a little bit afraid at first, and then once Dogman like steps in and like does the growling and stuff too, like they are terrified. They want to get the hell out of there, and it was always hilarious to me. I was just like, someone's gonna leap out a window when this happens, and I wanted it to happen so badly.
I also want to say that Jack at the end should have felt the ear graze with a bullet when it happened, not afterward. That was dumb.
It's not really consistent with that, but again, it's not really something that needed to be fully consistent.
Other notes I had, let's see. Why did idiot number one pull out a gun in the courtroom?
You're in a courtroom.
Like,
there's police and security everywhere. That's
have
not going to end
witnesses.
well for you.
Like, you could argue your way out of this and maybe win instead of saying this. Because this dude can also just lie. Like, you could... The only thing he can prove is that he has connection with his dog. He can't prove that he's telling the truth all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that was weird. Pull out a gun? Sure. Oh, also I wrote this movie is the movie Annie, but instead of a small ginger girl, it's a psychic dog man. It's the same movie. Plus Knives Out a little bit.
Yeah, like in the beginning, I was thinking like, did Rian Johnson take inspiration from Your Lucky Dog for Knives Out? I'm not going to say how, but like there's a certain plot element in this that is very reminiscent of Knives Out if you haven't seen it.
Okay, we've spoiled enough already at this point. Like, you can spoil if you really want to. It's okay. I will say one more thing about this. Where is it? I lost my notes. Overall, this movie surprised me. I'm not trying to just bash all DCOMs because they're not all bad and stuff like that. We're going to actually see quality range because we always have a negative perception of them. Because we've probably seen a very small handful of them in reality and realize that they have fluctuating quality like every movie thing does. And it'll be fun to see how that quality changes over time and how Disney's catered towards children. They should go back to this model because this is really fun.
Yeah.
So this is a yay for you too?
Yeah, this is a yay for me. I don't know if I would like consistently see myself rewatching it over the years, but it's a yay.
Every day.
Every day I see Dogman.
So yeah, this is a fun movie. If you want to watch something silly on Disney Plus, if you have it, look up You Lucky Dog. If you have kids, put it on. It's very cute. There's weird moments and there's weird characters, but like it's fun and the parents might enjoy a little bit of it more than some DCOMs. So overall, that's a yay. Also, now's our next segment. That's the theme song. We don't have one yet. Introducing who we are first off. I know you just heard a lot about us talking for 20 minutes, but now who are we? And explain about filmmaking, because this podcast involves filmmaking, watching movies, making movies, playing games, and more. That's the overall theme of this podcast. And we are filmmakers. We are both film students, seniors in film school who do filmmaking. We're both concentrating and directing, and we're minoring in acting stuff. So it was really fun to see how younger filmmakers, I think, will react to some things like DCOMs over time. So Josh, Rudy Boy, Mr. Fantastic, that's your name now. Explain a bit about who you are as a person.
I am a fun-loving guy who loves long walks on the beaches and just having deep conversations. Oh, wait, that was my dating profile. In actuality, this is a terrible joke.
He's single, ladies.
I am a huge movie lover. I have always been since I was a small kid, ever since I watched Spider-Man 2 in theaters. My movie collection has been growing vastly. I basically have an entire wall of movies because I'm terrible with money. But I do. I love video games as well. My favorite video games are the Last of Us series. Last of Us 2 is my favorite game of all time. TV shows, they're neato. I love them. Breaking Bad is still my favorite show. What else?
You've seen over 1,400 movies.
I have.
Well, that ranges from like shorts to like sometimes it's longer episodes. Like, it ranges a lot, but it's on Letterboxd, whatever consider a film. He's logged over 1,400 of them.
I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot that I've also regretted. I recently watched the entire Saw series. I think I'm worse off than I was when I started that series.
So you give Saw a nay?
I Saw 1.
We'll get to it. We'll eventually get to Saws. It's okay. This is not a Saw podcast, a Saw cast. I'm sure it's already a thing. I'm sure it's a thing.
Probably is.
But so this, you've seen about 1,400 movies. I've seen about 900 something on Letterboxd. We both have Letterboxd accounts. You can probably find us if you can search it, but don't look for us because we're mysterious and creepy. No. Anyway.
Yes, it's not like we have YouTube channels, social medias, and all that other.
Right?
Cool
No,
not at all.
We're not public at all. What?
We're completely in the dark.
Yeah. So I am like he is as well, a filmmaker, film student, and we have made movies. We've made short films. I am a person who's done YouTube for 8 years, 7 years, something like that, on a Minecraft gaming channel, Minecraft Avatar, and now I am focusing more on film stuff while still doing a little bit on the side. I watch movies, I act, I enjoy films. We've watched a lot. We both love superheroes and comic book characters. He doesn't read a lot of comic books. I read more than he does, and know he has pockets of knowledge. I have pockets of knowledge, and together we have some knowledge.
We have slightly big pockets of knowledge.
Yeah, and so there's a segment later on that'll be super weird stories where we're going to go through and talk about weird and obscure and wholesome sometimes, not always wholesome, sometimes just bad stories about comic book related things or superhero related things. And today's going to be really interesting with that. He hasn't heard any stories beforehand. I'm going to explain some stories and hear his reactions to these as we discuss. That'll be really fun. The way this podcast is lined up is we always have the intro, then we have DCOMs, and then we have like our main segment, followed by news, super weird stories, and then we're out with a little bit of plugs. So we are two film people who love superheroes pretty much, and we make a podcast about it because superheroes are awesome. But today we're focusing on filmmaking for our main segment, and that will be about our first time making films. Oh boy. Let's talk about one we made together first.
The Time Warp.
The Time Warp. So this is a film.
Who wants to explain how this all came about?
Let's make sure to leave names out of everything.
Yeah.
Besides ourselves, because we're idiots. And we're here together. So we made a film in freshman year film school. In about a week, just saying, with no budget at all and barely a script.
It was an interesting experiment to see if we could make basically what the film is two friends discover an app that allows them to time travel and they go back to the 80s. And it was an interesting experiment to see if you could do that with nothing. And we made it with nothing.
I'm dying, sorry. Anyway, continue.
We got actors. I shot it despite not not knowing anything about cinematography in the slightest. We shot it over 2 or 3 days, depending. There were some interesting shooting problems that we had due to like certain locations and things like that we had to try to fix in post. So Sean can definitely speak a lot more to that. But overall, I think it was a fun experience.
I would do it again.
I would do it again,
but differently.
Yes.
So,
but just
I'm going to chime in here for a second and say that this was an interesting process because we didn't get to pick anything, like literally anything. We were I'm not going to see the teacher or anything like that, or even the class or anything, but we were assigned groups to make films with We all wrote scripts, and we were assigned the scripts from random people. Pretty much is how it was. A teacher picked the scripts, and she gave us the scripts and said, "Make this film," which is not usually how filmmaking works. If you're not aware, you have a lot more saying what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we also couldn't choose our positions in the filmmaking process, like who's good at what. We couldn't do that. It was
that led to a lot of problems.
We were assigned these roles with these people and making this film. What? That's not how this works. And it was a fun experiment. I might do that again, but not with the same person picking everything, probably.
No.
I also would like to know everyone first, more than just being assigned people I don't know yet. So our person who was going to direct ended up not showing up and becoming the editor, and then ended up dropping it out entirely. So our group of 4 people turned into a group of 3 people, which was
made it a bit more challenging.
Yeah, I ended up having to direct this film, and then Josh was cinematographer. I didn't know about a lot about directing yet. I had no directing classes yet, and he had no cinematography classes yet. Yeah.
So it was a fun time of just seeing like, okay, we have to do this. We just need to go and we need to do it. It doesn't matter how it turns out. We just gotta do it. That was basically the mentality that we had for it.
And luckily, I had some sound equipment already, which made things a lot easier.
Yes, that definitely helped.
And our buddy, I'm not gonna name her name or anything like that yet, had a camera we could borrow, and he helped me edit this. So this film is on YouTube. The Time Warp. Keep in mind, it's our first film ever, so it's not great. It's bad, but like it was fun bad. It's silly. It was a dumb thing we did, and we will definitely explore that more in the future as well, probably. But so my friend and I, and Josh was there for a lot of it for editing your horror thing.
I had this is just a sidebar. During this time, I had an editing project where I had to turn a movie into a different genre for a trailer. So I turned Home Alone 2 into a horror trailer. So while I was working on that, they were working on editing The Time Warp together and losing their minds.
Yeah, we had a lot of times we didn't have enough coverage. We did not have enough coverage of anything, which is like enough shots and takes of things you would want to use.
Yeah.
We often had one we only had one take of one shot we could use for something.
Mm-hmm.
That was usable, and it was rough. But my friend and I edited together. I mean, he's the editor. I was sitting there with him the whole time, like, saying what I wanted and what we needed to do and stuff. And he made it come out okay, like a lot better than it could have been for sure. He saved the film, and he's great. He's the GOAT. And it's great. It was really fun, and we were in there for 30 hours, 20 straight, and then 10 straight, or other way around. Yeah, 10 straight, then 20 straight the next day. That was rough. This film was really fun to make, and process-wise, we had... Oh, keep in mind, that the audience doesn't know this yet. It was snowy. So when we were trying to cast, no one auditioned. We had 2 people auditioned. One over video, and one over in person. Because there was too much snow to get to auditions.
Yeah. So
we had no real choice if we wanted. They both came out great. We're happy with the casting. Everyone was fun. We had a fun time. It was great. I'm surprised it came out as good as it did. We had our last minute location for our biggest scene the day of. We had no location until about an hour before. Because we had a maybe, and then we had a, sure, no one's in there, we can use it. Which is not how it should work for filmmaking at all.
Sometimes it's just how it goes.
So yeah, this film we're going to use up before is about an app that you can time travel with. Originally, the original version of the script was written to not be picked. And meaning, it was supposed to be little dialogue, very visual, very feasible and doable.
I was not given those instructions at all.
The script we wrote that was picked was almost all dialogue set in the 1920s. Huh?
The best thing about that and that she chose it was that she thought that our teacher thought that could be fun to do, and she specifically asked us if we can put in a speakeasy scene. Keep in mind, most of us were still only 18 working on this project, like
with no money,
and like had no money, so we couldn't do any like costume stuff. We couldn't go to any bars to film any scenes. We had no time whatsoever either. We had a few days because we couldn't actually meet up until like after Thanksgiving, if my memory is correct on that.
Yeah, we had about a week from Thanksgiving break until winter break to make this until it was due to make this film. From getting our casting to finishing editing and turning it in. We turned it in the day an hour before it was due, like to the film showcase thing. And And that's not because it wasn't done. It's because we had to do some tweaks and we slept in because we had to sleep because that's important after 30 hours. The weirdest part of it to me was that, actually, no, not weird, so the saddest part to me was we forgot the author, the screenwriter's name in the one that went out in the showcase, the version, the credits. She was credited.
I remember that.
Yeah, she was credited as sound person, which is true. She did that and she was great. But she wrote the script and she didn't get credit for that, and that's really upsetting. So her parents were there too. The version that has her name in it is on YouTube, so she's still credited on where it's there forever. But that one time showing in a theater, she didn't get credited for it. And that's really sad. And we taught my buddy and I were like, oh no, when we saw that, and it was just devastating. And then, so that was our first film Josh and I did together. That's kind of how we got really close together doing that film.
Yeah.
We met at orientation and stuff like that at school, and then had classes together, but we really got close during that film. But I want to say this. So he and I had a little experience with filmmaking before school. I had less, technically speaking.
Technically speaking.
Because I didn't actually make a film. I'll explain that soon. But Josh, so your first experience with film, you made a short film in senior year of high school.
Yeah, so the class was a quote unquote film class, but it was more photography with film elements. And the final project was to make a short film. And since I was the only senior in the class, I had more time because seniors got out of school earlier than other people did. And to make a long story short, the original film I wanted to do, which was like a zombie post-apocalyptic drama, never saw the light of day. Very happy about that. I've gone back and looked at the script. Bad, just bad. And with the resources that I had available when I made the actual short film I made, I'm glad I didn't make the first film. But so the film I made was took inspiration from The Disaster Artist, and it was about me and my friends writing and putting on a play because our teacher was mean, not in real life, he wasn't mean at all, and we wanted to do a play our way and everything like that. And the movie is called Super Ultra Mega Play the Movie. It is 25 minutes long. It has only 3 people in the cast. We did everything. I had no microphones. I had one camera. There was a script, but most of the time we just improvised every scene. That's what I'm saying. There was a script. We just never followed it. It was basically just like, okay, this scene is taking place here. This is where the conversation needs to start. This is where it needs to end. And that's just kind of what we went through for the whole thing. But then the actual play scene, which is the last 10 minutes of the movie, there was no script for that at all. That was completely improvised. Genius decision on my part. And it's not a good movie, but by God,
explain what the play scene was. What the context around that?
Okay, so the context of it was because it's called Super Ultra Mega Play the Movie. I was like, I want to do something different. I want to show the actual play of because you always had these movies about making the movie, but you never see it. I was like, nah, we're gonna show the play, and so I took the final play that we had written in our play class, the 3 of us, which was called Super Ultra Mega Play, which is just kind of an amalgamation of all the references and stuff we had done in the previous plays, and just a giant 50+ page script. And so that was the basis of what I was going to use for it. And to make a very long story short, for that is about Batman training a wannabe Iron Man how to be a superhero, and just there's no way for me to explain it without sounding like an insane person. It's something that you need to see for yourself.
Also, Josh plays Batman.
Yes, and my Batman performance is better than all Batmans
and he's
ever.
Wearing a Last Jedi t-shirt during it, which makes it better. His costume is a cape, a Christian Bale Batman mask thing, and a Last Jedi t-shirt, which is the most Batman thing ever.
I love it.
It's a very silly film. It's fun. Correct me if I'm wrong, but would you give it a yay or nay? Hold on.
I'd give it a yay, for all the wrong reasons. It's not good, but it's amazing in its bad quality because we just had so much fun doing it, and just seeing all the mistakes I made from just every kind of angle, from editing to writing to quote unquote writing and cinematography. It's a disaster, but God, I love it.
I'll give everyone's first film a yay because that's hard. It's hard as shit to try that. It's difficult to try. You really gotta put yourself out there. You really gotta try something, go out there, get people, get things together. It's a lot of planning or messing around, and it's just fun. And to actually want to make a film, it's not an easy process. I know we said earlier, we made a film in a week. That wasn't a brag. That was a don't do this.
No.
Yeah. Earlier, though, I think Super Ultra Mega Play the Movie. Is that correct title? Super Ultra Mega Play the Movie?
Yes.
Okay. It's a very odd film. I've seen it more than once. It's a film that once you see it, you will be changed forever.
Yep.
But I don't know if it's in a good way or bad way. Because there's a scene where Batman, wiggle your arms and go, ooh. And it makes me crack up laughing every time. For all the wrong reasons. But that's why I give it a yay.
That was like the one take we did of that scene of where Batman is interrogating Iron Man for reasons that I don't even remember. And like he just says something like, am I the bad guy? Am I torturing you? And then he does the arm waving like, ooh, like I honestly don't know what I was doing, but we got it and it just works.
By it works, I mean it doesn't work, but it worked perfectly because of that. It doesn't work, but it works. So that was his first film ever when films. Like, he didn't have experience or anything like that going into it.
No.
And my first attempt at making a film started sophomore year of high school. Went into the end of my senior year, and then I had surgery in summer, so I couldn't finish this film. Also, I couldn't finish it for other reasons, but because it wasn't going to be good, and it wasn't going to be... Anyway, I developed a script for a Spider-Man fan film called Wrath of the Goblin, and Josh and I read the script together before, at like 3 a.m.
We did. It was fun.
It was fun. It's not a good script. I think it's fine. It's passable at best. Like, it needs a lot of work, and that's fine. But we actually did an Indiegogo page for it and made like $600 something like that for it, which we didn't get to take out all. He didn't let us take out all the movie money for some reason, even though we were allowed to. There was a huge problem. There was a problem with that on that end. But most of the money came from the actor for Gwen Stacy's family, actually. Because there's all these perks, like you can get a movie poster, you can get all this DVD and stuff like that. And like if you did these certain perk levels. And I felt so bad like when it was canceled because it was like, bye. None of this is happening.
Peace.
But it was fun in the process. We did table reads, we did costume, we did pictures, we made a poster. Like we started shooting it, actually. We have some footage of it. The footage isn't good. It's not, but that's fine. I didn't know what I was doing either. The shots were like, there's okay sound quality, the video isn't great. Like, we didn't know what I was doing. I tried shooting a giant lab scene on a green screen that I had for like 30 people. It didn't work at all because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Now I know how to use a green screen better because I know what I'm doing. And that's shown in another film I'm working on called Selected, which we'll talk about soon. But it's a mess. The Spider-Man Wrath of the Goblin film is a mess. I also don't really want to... I'm not even friends with some people who are in the cast or crew now because like there's huge differences in us now. It's a very weird film I was working on because the plot it had an origin part and then it skipped forward a month after the origin to skip the learning curve thing, and then like, Josh, would you give the Wrath of the Goblin script a yay or nay? You can say nay, it's okay.
Oh god, what was that back in like October or November when we read it?
Sure, get on your memory of it. Your remember.
My memory of it was just that I was giving Peter Parker's dialogue like the weirdest like accent in like dialects just to add some weird humor to it. Just because like I was so tired and out of it because it was 3 a.m.
My idea was to have Harry be Goblin because I was Green Goblin's Wrath of the Goblin, obviously. I was doing Death of Gwen Stacy and I wanted to have Green Goblin be Harry instead of Norman because I thought the relationship would be more fun to play around with of best friends being enemies rather than my friend's dad. That's a mistake because I think it's scary having to be your friend's dad looking back on it. But I was in high school and I wanted to cast high school actors. I actually had adult like professional theater actors in this too. Like that was an actual thing. I had Kingpin and all those other fun characters who were really excited about this movie, and then like I don't know what I'm doing over my head. And I'm like I'm about to have surgery. I can't, and I just kind of dipped and it ended. We may eventually do a commentary on that movie, like a read through of the script and stuff like that. I think really funny if we did it on podcast one day, like as the podcast. But not that day is not today. And next up, every film I've worked on has had a Josh on set. I'm going to skip past my film Forward, a lot of that, because besides maybe a little bit of editing, I did a film called Forward. Not out yet because I don't honestly love the story. Looking back on it, it was better at the time. But also editing-wise, Josh here edited my film Forward with me.
It was a long process for a lot of reasons.
There were some fun. I don't want to get into. I don't ever want to badmouth anyone, but there were some things that happened on set made things a little more difficult. That's all I'm gonna say. Some things on set made the editing process more difficult. I will also say that the film was fun, and I think it's not terrible. So that's always a comment. You get better. You'll make a bunch of crap, like a bunch of shit, and then you'll get better over time. You have to make the bad stuff to practice and to get better. Dump out your worst ideas. Do them. Make your bad ideas. That will help you a lot.
Yeah, like my sequel to my first film, I made that after we had made the Time Warp, but like about a month or so afterwards. And this time, because I knew more about what I was doing, and knew more is in quotes, we stuck to the script more. But this was originally my idea for it was like a feature length film. I was gonna have like I had asked some people like to be on the crew, but then like as we were getting closer to the shooting, like their schedules were starting not weren't able to align all together. So I decided to scrap the feature length idea and turn it into a short film. And I'm fine with that. There's no bad blood at all between any of us. Like it just happens. That's going to happen in life. Schedules just won't always align. And so the sequel is called The Murder of Cardboard Cutout Ben Affleck. And for that title to make sense, you have to see the first movie.
Which, if you search up Josh Rudolph on YouTube, you'll find his first movie.
Yes.
Which I'm so sorry I just pointed that out, but it's now there.
Yes. Doesn't matter to me. I want everyone to see them.
It's so interesting.
But for it to make sense, you have to see the first one. But essentially, it's a murder mystery about the three of us, the same people from the first movie, figuring out who murdered our friend Cardboard Cutout Ben Affleck. And we just go through like each of us like impersonate different like famous mystery characters. I think I did like a 50s black and white detective. Someone did Batman. Someone did Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And the whole process was not as good as the first one because I want to do it like more streamlined, like stick more to the script and things like that. But at the same time, we still didn't. And the editing was more comprehensive than the first one. But overall, because I didn't like the script was always constantly changing just to like accommodate for a lot of different things. It was not as good as I wanted it to be. There were still like some funny things that I enjoyed and some ideas. But overall, I would personally give it a nay. This is more from myself, just because like it's not as good as the first one for a lot of different reasons. And I think trying to make it make more sense. Yeah, the play scene is what makes the first movie just the greatest thing ever. But the second movie never really had anything like that amazing. Some scenes just go on for too long, and it's another 25-minute short film when in reality it did not need to be that long, but it just did. It happened, and I loved working with the guys. But yeah, it happens. It's a bad movie, and I personally don't like it as much as the first.
That's completely understandable. Like filmmaking, you dump out your bad ideas. I say it all the time. You just get rid of them. I mean, by get rid of them, I mean make them. Like make your bad ideas, because then you'll have fun with it. Like you will write. If you have a bad idea, write it out. If you have an idea you think is good, write it, make it, because you never know. Film it, and the subjectivity is a mixed bag. What people think. So like, just have fun with it. Make whatever you want to make. And then after my film Forward, Josh worked on this film too. I was working on Afrofuturist short film called The Selected. During COVID, we wore masks, we were distant, we did everything right. Then on the way to film one of the scenes, one of the actors got in a car accident. He was fine, but it made the whole schedule fall apart.
Yeah.
And then my lead actor, a few weeks later, got COVID. Like, not from our set, or not during our set, but like later on. Which made it so rescheduling things was a huge problem, and then Thanksgiving happened, and then Christmas and New Year's, and now we're here, and the last thing we need to shoot is the first scene, and it's an outdoor scene, and it was in the fall before, and nothing looks the same. So now we're stuck waiting a year or changing the scene entirely. So that's fun. I wrote it in an Afrofuturism class in school, and that was very fun. And I also want to finish the film because I think it's a great story. I think all the actors involved really wanted to see it finished, and all the crew involved wanted to see it finished, so it'll get done eventually, just not, that day is not today. So that's our filmmaking journey so far. It's been interesting. Make your bad ideas. We both worked on other things too. Like worked on a lot of, we haven't, but like as directors, this is what we've done so far, which isn't a lot. And mostly.
Well, no, I also I forgot. I don't know how I forgot this. During COVID as well, I made a documentary short film for my documentary class.
Right.
And so I'll be putting that one back up on my YouTube channel soon. And I think it would be kind of redundant to explain what it is because it's what the movie is about. So just once it goes up, check it out for yourself. I think that is the film so far that I'm really the most proud of, aside from my first film, because it's the one where I got to like really show my serious side and like understand like more about like what I was doing. Of course, I would have loved to have like a full crew and like other things to make it come to life more, I guess, in a sense. But with what I was able to accomplish, I'm really proud of it.
I thought you said aside from your first film, meaning your first film was still better in your eyes.
No, it's not better in my eyes, but I'm saying just like the everything about it. It's just like for my first thing and for it to come out like that, not good, but kind of amazing. Like I'm still proud of it and what we did with
That's completely
nothing.
fair. Yeah, your documentary is great. You should watch it when it comes out. Anyway, this is our filmmaking journey so far. We've done other things. We've worked on other films. I produced a film before. I have done sound designing. I've gripped. We've done all these other jobs on films before. It's not just directing and writing. But we're also writing and directing all the time, and as this next year comes around, we'll talk about filmmaking a lot more because we'll be in school again and making films again. And that is the segment of filmmaking, our first film journey. Woo!
Woo!
So again, this is the official NerdTalk podcast for the NerdTalk channel, where we'll do, we will put films, where we will enjoy each other's company, where we will put the podcast, and as well as where we'll put video effects videos and cinematography tutorials, like a Film Riot kind of channel, generally speaking. There'll be a GeekSpeak podcast channel as well, which will be just a podcast, and this will show up still on the GeekSpeak one. This will be on Spotify and YouTube and other places like that as well to watch this, to listen to this wonderful podcast. Nerd Talk is a name I came up for myself for filmmaking a long time ago because we're nerds and we want to talk about fun, nerdy stuff. And the GeekSpeak is an extension of that. So that's what this is, and our next segment is news. So first off, I don't know if you know about this news, Josh. You ready for it? I don't know if you're ready.
Yes.
Dave Bautista news. Do you know what this is?
I think I do.
He joins the Knives Out 2 cast. So, Dave Bautista to me, Knives Out 2. What do you think about that?
I am excited and I'm curious. I'm more excited because he was in the last James Bond movie, Spectre. That was like 2015. When I heard the news, I was excited, but I was really disappointed because he had like nothing to do in it. But knowing Rian Johnson, he's going to give him a lot more to do. So I am excited to see him expand his range and see what he's capable of.
I've only seen Dave Bautista in one role, and it's Drax the Destroyer. To my knowledge, I might have seen him in something else, but I think it's just that. I don't not performance wise. I think he does the job okay. I don't love Guardians 2 for Drax. But that's just for me as a superhero fan and comic book fan and stuff. I don't love the interpretation a lot. But I don't also think he's doing a bad job at all. I don't think he's a bad actor from any stretch. I've not seen him a lot, though. I can't really judge him yet. Knives Out, though, I don't think it needs a sequel. If you've not seen Knives Out, watch it. It's great. Just watch it. But also...
Well, I think exploring a sequel with Benoit Blanc, just like exploring more of his cases, I think is a fun idea. Similar to like Hercule Poirot and the Murder on the Orient Express series. I don't know if it actually has a name for that, but similar to that, I think that's a fun idea because the first one is just amazing. I love Knives Out.
Yeah, I love KFC Sherlock Holmes. He's great. So overall news over that is a yay or nay for you. Dave Bautista and Knives Out 2.
It's a yay. I'm curious. I'm still mad though that it's coming to Netflix.
Oh, in that case, nay. Don't care. Move on. Hard nay. No, can't change my mind. Nope.
Darn.
For the record, yeah, guys, yay or nay means almost nothing in this podcast. It's more just a fun thing we do. We can say yay for a fun hat or nay for a not fun hat. You can say for anything. Now, next bit of news is a Venom 2 trailer came out. Last movie, first off, Venom 1, not spoiling anything. Did you yay or nay for Venom 1?
It's a yay, but for all the wrong reasons.
Is it hesitantly nay for you then?
It's a more hesitant yay. I will rewatch it, but like I'll be so confused as to just everything of that movie.
That's fair. I'm gonna give Venom 1 a yay. Venom 2 I don't think you need a sequel though.
I am honestly way more excited for this than I am for the first, because I think Andy Serkis was able to figure out what this needs to be, and like the tone seems very consistent. Whereas in the first one, it didn't know what it wanted to be. Here, it looks like it knows exactly what it wants to be. Like in the beginning of the trailer, like when Venom is making breakfast, Eddie just looks like he wants to die, and I'm like, this is great. I love this. I want this to be the whole movie, and it looks like how it's going to be. So I'm very excited for
For those
that.
unaware, Andy Serkis is directing this film he's referencing. But Venom 2 trailer for me, I'm giving this an A. I don't want a sequel. I don't like this movie. The first one was fine. This one looks like it's. I don't have an opinion of it. I mean, this is a nay for the trailer, not for the movie as a whole. I want to see more first because I'm only interested in Carnage in this movie. I don't really care about Venom in this movie. We've seen Venom, what he can do and stuff, but the Carnage looks like just red Venom instead of. Carnage is much lankier in the comics. Like he's very.
Yeah,
Slimy
like there's a
and
distinct
slithery.
visual difference,
Right? And you can silhouette wise, you can tell. Silhouette wise, you cannot tell the difference here. Besides, actually, no, that's it. You can't tell the difference silhouette wise.
Well, that was the problem in the first Venom with what was it, Riot? Was that the villain?
Riot.
Yeah, like he was like a silver Venom. Like there was barely any difference. Like the only difference was like the way that the eyes look. But even then, it's a minute difference.
And one's a
So, like,
little bluer.
yeah, so like in the final fight, like when they're just like tossing each other around, I'm just like, what is going on? What is this?
Yeah, I think this one has the same problem though, for me though, from what I've seen so far. Both
Mhm.
so far in this first like 2 shots of Carnage, whatever, it doesn't look like a lot. I don't really care that much yet. I want to care more, and I want to see Carnage look more Carnage and less Venomy. I know they're both symbiotes or symbiotes, as I said in the first one trailer or whatever. I want to see a little more of what he will look like, and hopefully it'll be changed a little bit. But everyone seems to love his look. I'm like, I think he doesn't look like doesn't look like Carnage or whatever. So, nay for me because he's not lanky enough. Also, Cletus Cassidy is a cool character, and I'd rather see him in a Spider-Man film because I think that'd be way more terrifying. But that's just for me. Like Carnage as a character is an actual psychopath, like serial killer, is more sometimes because Spider-Man has very sympathetic villains generally speaking. So seeing it just an all-out serial killer as a villain would be very interesting to see Peter Parker go against to me in film.
Yeah, and Andy Serkis confirmed this is not in the MCU or part of it.
Yeah,
but there's that weird thing with Sony where it also is, but it isn't. And then you have like Morbius, like having like I can't really talk about it because that's spoilers. But yeah, like Vulture shows up. I'm just like, okay, you need to have some consistency here so people aren't confused because Morbius and Venom are in the same universe.
I also think it's probably funny thing. This is the Raimi-verse. Raimi already had Venom. What do you mean?
It's not. You can't have two Eddie Brocks.
So people saying this is in the same Raimi Tobey Maguire films, the trilogy of Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, is because the Daily Bugle has the same logo. That's it. The same header. Which they probably just already had the asset for it and used it again. That's all it was, probably. What I thought they should have done with that, though, is use the Amazing Spider-Man Daily Bugle logo. So that would have been...
I don't even remember what that
it's just a little bit
like.
different. Like, it doesn't... It's different enough. It's still a Daily Bugle logo, and, like, who cares? But it's different enough that it could match that universe still and be fine and not ever be needed talked about. Then no problem. But then this happened, and people were like, it's in the Raimi universe. It's in the Tobey Maguire universe. Like... Well, the funniest thing about that is I've heard people say, there are 2 Venoms now in that world. No, stop.
Think before you speak. Just take 5 seconds and think about Spider-Man 3.
My next bit of news is, I'm going to give it a hard nay right away. Do you know who Rudy Giuliani is? Giuliani? Yeah?
I've seen Borat too. I know who he is.
Okay. There's going to be a documentary about him.
Why? I don't care.
So you don't know who he is? He was a former, I think, New York mayor turned into Trump's main attorney. I'm not getting political here, but stop. Just get out of it. No one cares. It's based on an article, apparently, like a Rolling Stone article. So there's a Rolling Stone article about Rudy Giuliani that they're turning into a documentary. Which, I think it's funny they can't just find stuff in his life to use, not based off of an article. That's just funny to me. But why is this happening? Just nay.
I'm giving it a nay. Unless Borat is involved, it's a nay for me.
And moving on. So, in a recent interview with Zachary Snyder, Zack Snyder, he said that Snyderverse will never happen. Again, he keeps saying that. Which is why people keep wanting it. if you don't know who Zack Snyder is, he directed Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, sort of. That's a whole issue I'm not going to get into right now.
Yeah, that's a whole topic for another day.
But like, if you don't know, there's a movement online called Restore the Snyderverse about restoring Zack Snyder's vision for the Justice League universe and DC universe, whatever. WB, the parent company of DC, Zack said is aggressively anti-Snyder, which is an exact quote, and I think that's both hilarious and super true.
Yeah.
I like Zack. I think he seems like a cool guy. Like, he seems chill and whatever. I could regret that words in 10 years. I don't know. I don't know how life was going to change. But right now, what I see in this moment in time, on this Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, he seems like a cool dude. His filmmaking skills, he's very visual. He's very cool with that. He seems to genuinely like these characters, which is fun to see. Like, even if he does twist versions of them, like Superman or Batman or something like that, he seems to like still have love for who they are, which I like to see with filmmakers. And WB using the aggressively anti-Snyder, that's true. I wish they were like moderately anti-Snyder. To give us like some of the things that are built up, like keep some things canon more, instead of just like aggressively pushing away from what he's done. Because he still helped you a lot, whether you like it or not. He got more eyes on DC. Like, that's happened. People are caring about DC because of Zack Snyder. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, just like everything that's happened with the Snyderverse and everything since Justice League, the theatrical version came out, and just everything, it just seems like WB is overcorrecting. People like dissing that version, the theatrical version, and rightfully so. It's a bad movie, and they're just overcorrecting it so that way they don't have to admit they were wrong in the choices that they made and everything that they did. And so just like silencing, like saying like this is the Snyder Cut, it's the end of Zack Snyder's trilogy, when many times it's been said that it was supposed to be 5 movies, not 3. And if you've seen the Snyder Cut on HBO Max, you would know that there's supposed to be more story being told, and that's why people are campaigning for a second and third movie. Personally, if we never get them, I'm fine with it. I think it would be cool, interesting to see where it could go. But again, in reality, it might not happen. Millions and millions of dollars to make these movies. So many, like, once you learn about the film process and how a movie gets made, it's a lot harder to believe that something like this could happen. But I also said the same thing about the Snyder Cut existing, and I ate my words on that. So I could be eating my words on this in a couple of years on this Tuesday, May 11th of 2021. So who knows?
Honestly, though, I think actors for this world are getting older than they should be for these parts. Like, I mean, like, not in like insulting way. Like Henry Cavill was cast, I think, like 33 or something like that. Like, he was playing a 33-year-old Superman. Like, that works if the movies kept taking place from that same time. But it's been, like, how long is that? Years now? It's 2013, so like, almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah. So, like, that should be taken into account. That's why I think the DCU should stop, take a break for like 10 years, and then start again with me directing them.
I think that if they actually made the sequels to Snyder Cut, the only way they could do it to make it like still work and be his vision in a sense would be like as fully animated movies, because then you can still use all the same actors and everything like that. You can still do the same story. You can make the visuals like even bigger, but again, that's not what fans really want. They want to see the actual actors do the thing. It's the most feasible way that at least I can see it at the moment, but yeah, it's a whole mess, the entire situation. I'm giving the article a nay just because WB is stupid.
I'm giving it a yay because it's accurate, but a nay because it's. I'm gonna give a. No, it's a nay. The article itself is a yay because it tells you the information, but the information is a nay. It's dumb. It's also that's from Screen Rant. If you don't know that, Screen Rant's a pretty reputable source, I'd say, for the most part. All these sources I've been using Variety, Hollywood Reporter, and like Screen Rant, so it's been pretty well. Like Deadline, I'm using like. Good sources, that's important. And then next up, the piece of news. This is I'm gonna give it a yay, but also like I don't really care that much. Thor from Screen Rant, Thor 4: Love and Thunder will film in New York City this summer for 1 week. Cool. Not a lot of big news there, but like that's cool. So it's gonna take place probably in like very hard MCU world. Like Ragnarok was very spacey, like so it's probably gonna be more ground, like more on Earth. I'm guessing for part of it, at least part of this, more on Earth.
Well, probably it was probably similar to what they did in Ragnarok, where they go to New York to find Odin. It's probably something like that.
As I said, I thought about that. Yeah. So I'm fine with this. Yay. Moving on. Yay or nay, Josh?
Oh, yay.
Cool.
Yay, because I love Taika Waititi.
Yeah. And New York's, hey, I'm walking here. They got movies. They actually have.
What a way to describe New York.
They have actually very few alleys, and there's alleys in like every movie for New York City, and there's only like 3 in the whole city. So that's fun.
New York is only alleys.
It's not. There's like none. Anyway, next up is from comicbookmovie.com. Their information has gone fluctuating a little bit from quality, so I don't know how much this is true or not. But rumor is right now that Margot Robbie is pestering WB to do what do you think?
Poison Ivy.
Yes, to add Poison Ivy.
Dating.
To add Poison Ivy in general. Hopefully into a Harley Quinn-centric area. So that's neat. I'm going to say yay to that right away. I like Poison Ivy. Yeah. I think if you're doing the emancipation from Joker and like leaving that, then that's the next step you do is have her go to her. That makes sense?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a yay. After watching the animated Harley Quinn show, I definitely want to see the two of them like get close, become friends, and then eventually like start forming a relationship together. I think it's chaotic, but in a good kind of sense. And I would love to see Margot and whoever the actor is that would be playing Poison Ivy to see that kind of relationship.
Emma Stone. No, I don't know. So Golden Globes. Do you know about this news?
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. 2022 Golden Globes next year are canceled entirely. Also, side note, Tom Cruise gave back his Golden Globes.
I saw that this morning,
which is very funny to me. You can still keep like you can still say, "Hey, I still worked hard in these movies and won an award." That's still cool to say.
I didn't think they were something that you could like return.
Yeah,
are you able to change it for a different reward?
Who are you giving them back to? That's really funny. Like, do you just give them back to give them to Spielberg? He'll keep them. I don't know. So you know, I think you might know more about this than I do. Do you know about this information?
Yeah, it's basically what's been happening is people, companies, actors, basically anyone that works in the movie industry has really been going against the company that runs the Golden Globes because of racist stuff that's been happening, discriminations and things like that. People are starting to fight against it, and now NBC has canceled showing the Golden Globes on there at all. And I think Netflix and Amazon have also backed out of giving their stuff like any nomination considerations. So I think that with that kind of pushback, it's definitely going to force their hands into a lot of change. Will change actually happen? As we've seen in Hollywood, if any happens, it'd be very minimal. Yeah. And eventually it would go back to the status quo of, you know, how it always is.
The fact
to say the least.
The fact that Green Book and the Oscars beat Roma still upsets me. And that...
Oh my god.
A racist movie.
That's a topic for another day.
I know, but Hollywood is such...
Oh yeah.
The white savior idea is so ingrained into Hollywood ideas, and so, like... If you ask a lot of people will be like, I love The Blind Side, I love, like, The Help, like, but, like, you don't know... So why? What's it about to you? What... And, like, there's a lot of movies, like... So, yes, Oscars and stuff like that are very... And Oscars and Golden Globes, like, all these media's award systems are often very whitewashed and very in need of change, we'll put it that way. And I think that's a good thing. I'm fine with this. Fix the problems.
Please.
It won't get fixed right away. It won't get fixed for years, probably. But systemic racism is a huge thing. If you don't believe me, don't listen to the podcast. That's just period.
Yes.
Or actually get educated, then come back. Or email us and say we're wrong and we're idiots. That's fine too. Because we'll have an email at the end of this you can listen to. So listen to the whole thing, then email us how mad at you are. Give us that engagement time. Anyway, next up, that's all the news for this week. For right now, of course, right after this podcast, my dumbass is going to be like, dropping huge bombs of news. So our next segment is called Super Weird Stories. I want a fun voice that I don't have one yet. Super Weird Stories. So this is... Okay. Josh?
Yes.
This is a segment we're going to go through every week, and I'm going to tell you about deep dives in comic book stories. Or
Wonderful.
Into things that involve superheroes. Like The Incredibles can be involved, or like Batman. It's something in real life that happens that involves his characters.
Yes.
Weird can be ranged from wholesome and sweet, but still a little silly, to, or out of the usual, or, oh my god, what the heck is happening? This should not be happening at all. Like, dark, creepy, weird, fun, silly. If there's anything is really bad, I will put trigger warnings, because that's important. But, okay, so super weird stories today. I'm going to ask you a fun question, Josh. I want you to try and answer the question.
Alright.
Which of these two characters have become black for a period of time? Hold on. Not a legacy character like Wally and Wally. Like, not in continuity. Like, I mean, not like a recast of a character, I mean,
like a white character becoming a black character.
Yes, I am white in this issue. Next issue, I am transforming into a black person. That is something that happened. So which one? So is it A, the Punisher Frank Castle, or B, Lois Lane?
Oh, this is...
It's bad that it's this hard to guess, right? It's bad that it's happened. This is terrible and super racist.
My instincts want to go for the Punisher, but I'm going to go for Lois on this one.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Trick question, you idiot. It was both.
What? What?
So,
explanations. I need them.
Okay, so, which one first?
Lois might be the easier one to explain.
Maybe? Okay, so, Lois Lane, you know, Daily Planet reporter, like, great person, Pulitzer Prize winning reporter. In the issue Lois Lane number 106, because she had her own series too for a while. And she might still. I'm not. I haven't read comics consistently in a while. I used to read them a lot as a kid. Now I'm like on and off because time and money. I'm an adult. I have adult money, and that's expensive. So Lois Lane. So how do I explain this? Basically, what happened. You can see images on this later. Okay, I'll show you some fun pictures. So Lois Lane wanted to know what it was like to be someone in a less favorable environment. She wanted to know what it was like to be, and I think they said it in the comics. I think they said in the slums. Like she wanted to experience a bad environment, and she wanted to see what it's like to be a black person for a bit.
Oh no!
So this is something that Superman had with him, of course, because comic books. Something that Clark Kent, Kal-El, the person made by immigrant Jewish people, had in his Fortress of Solitude, was a machine that could transform her. In the Fortress, in his ice palace, he could transform her with a melanin machine, pretty much, into a black woman. And that's what happened. She did it to learn to be an investigator person, and then wanted to afterwards, just for not for a long time, just for a day to see how it is, and then change back. So messed up. Never do that, people. Never try and that's wrong. Blatantly wrong, of course.
What year did this come out?
I think 60s to 70s. I can look it up in a minute.
Okay, that sounds about right.
But what? Want to hear one of the worst parts of it to me?
Oh boy.
Well, first off, she changed back because she couldn't stay black forever. She had to be a white person, obviously, which she should be, because that was a messed up thing to do in the first place. You can make a black character or make Lois Lane now in this new continuity a different race. That's fine to me. But you can't just. That's wrong. Hopefully you'll understand why that's wrong. Anyway, moving on with that part, is that the weird she asked Clark Kent. She asked Superman, who she was in love with, and I think was going to marry. Right? She loved him.
Mm-hmm.
She asked him, if I couldn't change back to a white person, would you still love me? He didn't answer.
Oh no!
Superman couldn't answer that question. He avoided it. Which, yeah. So that's super weird stories for today. Actually, no. Want to hear the other one? With Punisher?
I need to hear about the Punisher.
Guess when Punisher took place.
This one?
Yeah.
I'm going with the 80s on this one.
90s!
Oh, that's worse!
This was not far...
It's all around, the closer is worse!
Well, I think I can double check that. I checked that, I could be wrong, but I think it was 90s. I could be wrong. I'm like, guess what? I'm not going to look it up, because that's effort. Again, we can be wrong on this, but here's the Punisher thing. So, what happened? So, he was in a prison fight, okay?
Uh-huh.
Because, as you are, there's a villain called Jigsaw. And Jigsaw was in prison and just cut up his face, destroyed him and mutilated him. And, I'm gonna get you, and shaved him and cut him and just, destroy his face. And then, but his mutilated face actually helped him escape prison. Because he didn't look like Frank Castle anymore. He was all cut up. And barely image. So but because he was so damaged, he had to get surgery.
Uh-huh.
I think you see where this is going. So then,
no.
He got surgery to fix his face. And he went to this woman, this experimental woman, who he's lying on the table and he's like, please fix my face. I do not want to look like Frank Castle anymore. I need a disguise because they're gonna get me and whatever. And what happened was this woman, oh no, said, okay, but I have experimental stuff in like melanin and stuff. And he's like, I don't know what it is. Like, go ahead. He didn't know what he was saying really, or what melanin was. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, just don't make me look very different, is what he said, pretty much.
Oh, no.
And so she transformed him into a black man. Like, surgically.
Yeah.
Let me explain. Not just the color of his skin. Like, Afrocentric features.
Oh.
Like,
oh my.
black hair. Like, his entire face and looked like a typical African-American man. In his facial structure. Which, why would you do this to any character? Like, what? At that point, you could just make Frank Castle. Like, you can have like a new Frank Castle character, make a new Punisher character, and be a black man. Like, that's not a problem at all. In continuity, do that. Want to hear what happened? What happened later on with that a little bit?
I need to know.
He got cured. First off, wrong word to use.
What?
Let me finish. This thing that's happening to him, it's not permanent apparently. It just eventually it started going away. Which how does it wear off? It doesn't. It's a surgery.
That's not how that works.
That is the super weird story for the week. We have. Was it weird enough for you?
It was not all what I was expecting. So yes, it definitely fits in the category of what.
Also, there's a character called Arm Fall Off Boy who I think was going to be in the Suicide Squad movie played by Nathan Fillion. That's fun. That's a little more wholesome. But anyway, this happened twice that I found. There's probably more instances of this, honestly. Also, you can find both pretty fast. Search up Lois Lane issue number 106, and you can search up just Black Punisher, and you'll find it. Like, it's messed up, and it's weird, and it's weird stories. And this episode is going to be powered by probably Acast, a podcast hosting site. If that's wrong, then I'll put in a different name here. And that's the segment. Did the segment. I don't know we don't have theme songs for anything yet. So we'll eventually have theme songs. So if you want to give us a theme song for anything, email it to us at nerdtalkproductionsyt@gmail.com. And you can find me at that nerd and theater. No, what is it? On Twitter, it's the theater nerd. On almost everything else is like that nerd and theater or that theater nerd. You'll probably find me. I'm Sean Williams, and Josh here. You can find him places. Where do they find you, Josh?
YouTube channel. Josh Rudolph. Picture of me with a fake mustache and a hammer. Do movie reviews very inconsistently. I've done other things on there. Check it out. I'm on Letterboxd at nerd the number 4 film and then the number 28. Twitter I think I'm at J_Rudy28, and I think Instagram is J_Rudy16. I think I could be wrong on those.
You plug in everything here.
Everything. Know me.
So if you also look up on Twitter NerdTalk_prod, you'll find the place where the Nerd Talk hosting for this podcast will be there. You'll find us there. And so please send us questions, send us comments, send us topic ideas to talk about different things. It'll be very fun. That's about for this podcast. Overall thoughts, You Lucky Dog was a yay for you?
Yes, it was a yay for me. Dogman is the best character ever.
Want to hear what next up? We're doing 2 movies. We are finishing 1998, the year.
The entire year.
You Lucky Dog was in 1998, as well as on June 27th, and then on August 29th, 1998, we had the movie Brink. No idea what it's about, but it has Brink with an exclamation point, and that's always fun. And then on my birthday, October 17th, 1998, no, that the year's off, but like the day is right, is Halloween Town, which I've not seen.
I seen that a long time ago. I remember nothing, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, we'll watch that next week, or that'll be fun. And then later on, we'll have Xenon, Girls of the 21st Century, Can of Worms, The 13th Year, which I have seen, and a lot of fun, different things. And then next week, our topic for main topic for discussion has not been picked yet. So if you have any ideas, you can get this in if you want to see us talk about something. News will, of course, vary week to week. And super weird stories. I already have next week's lined up, and it's very, very weird. But more wholesome than this one. A lot more wholesome. This one was just I wanted to see Dustin's reaction to this racist thing that happened not once but twice, where a white character transformed themselves into a black person, because that happened in comic books. Comic books are weird, y'all. You should and shouldn't read them. That's it for this podcast. Make sure to please check us out next week and tell your friends about GeekSpeak. Two geeks speaking about fun topics and pop culture, superhero news, gaming news, playing games, watching movies, making movies. What else more can you ask for? All right. Thank you all for listening.